could this use of recession authority set a precedent that weakens congressional control over the budget, effectively turning the executive into a shadow legislature?
Well, Rana, it's a pleasure to be with you today, and greetings to your viewers and your other guests. And what we have seen with this rescission bill is the Trump administration once again using a creative, little-known legal avenues in order to push through his economic goals. For example, using the 1974 Impoundment Act to get around the need for filibusters and to allow the rescission bill to be passed by just a mere majority of the Senate. And this is setting up another big budget battle. We have seen the incredibly massive battles that were triggered by Trump's big, beautiful spending, his big, beautiful bill a couple of months ago. And now we are going to get a repeat of that. This issue in the rescission bill is a little more critical because these are programs that are discretionary but are vitally important for the American people at home and abroad. As you mentioned, cuts to public broadcasting, cuts to rural health programs, cuts to food programs, and also on the global stage, cuts to global health programs, specifically the AIDS program, which was President George Jr. Bush's, one of his signature global health programs. And as we've already seen conflict between Republicans or amongst Republicans in the Senate. Lisa Murkowski of Alaska is a notorious rebel, along with Susan Collins of Maine. Both of them are very dedicated to their rural communities. They are alarmed over the cuts to rural health care and rural public broadcasting. This could leave their constituents without a lifeline.
And apparently, Ms. Champion, China is regenerating and taking advantage of what's happening in the United States at this point, or am I wrong?
Oh, you are absolutely correct, Rana. China has been embarking on their Belt and Road Initiative for at least the last 2 decades. They have made incredible progress in developing trade relations because they are investing in the infrastructure of the countries they deal with. They're investing in roads, ports, bridges, whereas in the United States, we are pulling back from our charitable investment, from our infrastructure and health investments. And unfortunately, we are focusing more on our military expenditures, which brings up another excellent point. As the Republicans and Democrats are fighting in Congress over $9.8 billion in cuts to healthcare and programming, we are at the same time spending hundreds of billions of dollars on the war in Ukraine, funneling weapons to countries that whose interests do not help American interests. So indeed, it appears that this bill, this Rescissions Act, clawing back global charitable funds, this is another signal that the United States is withdrawing from the world stage. We are becoming more isolated in terms of humanitarian outreach, diplomatic relations, and we are leaving a vacuum that, as you pointed out, Rana, China will step up to fill, and we are also seeing other countries work with China, such as Russia and Iran, for political and military and security reasons. However, these
Ms.
alliances are.
Champion, I'll leave you there and I'll be back, but I have to ask Mr. Roth. Mr. Roth, welcome, of course, to our program. And I just want to ask you, do you agree with Ms. Champion or do you disagree at the beginning, of course, of this interview? And does slashing $9.4 billion from foreign aid signal a retreat from America's global leadership role, especially, of course, as China expands its soft power investments?
Well, it's good to be with you as always.
It's my utmost pleasure always to be with you, sir.
There's a lot to unpack here. First of all, if we can't cut $10 billion from a multi-trillion-dollar budget, we might as well give up the ghost and go home. America is going to become Greece. We will be bankrupt and we won't be able to do anything, which is what the Chinese really want.
So you agree with Ms. Champion, Ms. Chapman, Mr. Peter, right?
Not entirely, no. Because
not entirely. What do you disagree with her in?
He's describing the rescissions project as some kind of a dirty trick, when in fact it's in the law, and it's one of the few mechanisms available to the executive to control spending ordered by Congress. And he can't do it uniformly. He's got to get Congress's approval for the rescissions. America's public broadcasting systems domestically have been overtaken by the streaming revolution. There is no reason to run public television anymore. They used to talk about Don't Cancel Big Bird, the large feathery character from Sesame Street, the children's program that premiered when I was 2 years.
Yes, we all know it.
Sesame Street is now on pay for TV. Okay. And the money that Sesame Street raises through marketing every year could have funded National Public Radio and the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. But that's not how we do it in this country. We don't need NPR anymore. We don't need the public television stations. Their functions have been replicated and duplicated in the private marketplace. Even in rural areas, people can get internet through Skylink if they don't have fiber. So it's unnecessary. The international programs are anti-American and laughable. Voice of America, Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, Radio Marti, the Iran service plays rock and roll music. It's not broadcasting about the importance of freedom, liberty, rights for women, economic empowerment, peaceful negotiations, and
okay,
and
Mr. Peter, how do you analyze this situation now as we talk and what's happening in the Congress now at this point?
This rescission package is the first of many that the administration plans to send up to Washington. The president was elected to do something about spending, and we have to slowly whack away at the large federal budget in order to bring things in line. Ms. Champion is incorrect when she says we're funding defense. The Wall Street Journal, normally a friend to President Trump, writing this
Ms. Chapman, do you want to answer?
Let me finish about how the Biden military budget isn't that much different than the Trump military budget, at least at this point. And Biden eviscerated the U.S. military. Trump's not building that back up, but that's okay because we've just pulled out of 2 forever wars and we've just avoided getting involved in a third. But we have to be serious about cutting spending. We have to start someplace. The Chinese and the Belt and Road Initiative has proven a disaster for the countries that have taken advantage of it because they're losing control of projects that they can't pay for. And when the Chinese build the infrastructure, they bring Chinese people in to build it, and then they bring in more Chinese people to operate it. So it's really not any kind of a beneficial jobs program for the countries they're engaged in. And that's creating hostility towards China. So I'm glad that the Chinese are alienating the people they're supposed to be helping. The one thing I do agree on is that it's a mistake to zero out PEPFAR, the Africa AIDS program. It's worked tremendously well, but it's time now, after 20 years, to reimagine it and to get the African countries that have the resources to start ponying up some of the expense for PEPFAR under American supervision, so America can reduce its contributions, because we can't even afford virtuous activities like that.